All right, so the sides of a parallelogram are 4.5 centimeters and 6.2 centimeters. The angles of the parallelogram have measures of either 37 or 143. What are the lengths of the diagonals of the parallelogram? Okay. All right, so this is a two-part question. So to start with, I'm going to draw the parallelogram. So you have to remember what that looks like from geometry. And I'm actually going to draw it twice since we are going to be dealing with two different diagonals. Okay. So one of the diagonals would be this one. So I'm going to call that X because that's what we are trying to find. And then the other one is going the opposite corner. So that would be this one. So I'm going to call that one Y. And then just to kind of add our numbers, so the sides across from each other are congruent. So if I say that this one is 4.5, so is this one. And then that would be the same on this one since I've drawn the same parallelogram twice. And then that means that my other set of sides is the 6.2. And then for the angles, we have one that measures 37 degrees or 143. So with the way that I've drawn that, the bigger angle should be this one. So I'm going to say that this is my 143, and then that would make this one 37. So remember that these angles are supplementary, so they would add to be 180. So this angle would be the 37. Or I could use this one down here because the opposite angles on a parallelogram are congruent. So same thing, this would be 143 down here. Okay. All right. Now, even though we have a parallelogram, we want to focus on the triangle within that. So again, my goal is to find this length right here. So I'm just going to focus on this triangle. So I've been given side, angle, side. So I know to use the law of cosine. And I'm finding the side of x. So that's just going to be equal to the square root of my side. So 4.5 squared plus 6.2 squared minus 2 times 4.5 times 6.2. And then we will have the cosine of the angle across, so that 143. Okay. And before I type that in, I'm going to just set up my other problem. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to focus on this triangle right here. So again, I've been given side, angle, side. So I know to use the law of cosine. So the y is going to be equal to the square root of 4.5 squared plus 6.2 squared minus 2 times 4.5 times 6.2 times the cosine of my angle across. So that's going to be 37 this time. All right, so now I'm ready to type that information in to the calculator. So again, if you haven't, make sure that your calculator is in degree mode before we start. And then we're starting with the square root symbol, so square root, and then I'm just typing all of that in exactly how it looks. So 4.5 squared plus 6.2 squared minus 2 times 4.5 times 6.2 times the cosine of 143. Enter. All right, so my first diagonal is 10.16 centimeters. Okay. And then now I can just type in the other. Now notice how the numbers are exactly the same except for this cosine number. So instead of retyping all of that, I'm going to press second enter. And I copy and pasted that previous line, and then I'm just going to arrow back and I'm going to change that. So I'm going to press the delete key to get rid of one number, and then I'm going to type 37 and then press enter. All right, so my other diagonal is 3.76 centimeters. And then we are done with that problem.